Ever since I decided to investigate the killing games, I've been doing my own research on the ones of the past. After all, it's probably a good idea to know what I'm getting into. And wow, it's really a headache. Okay, some of them are well documented and from verified sources, including one that happened right here in New Wikisburg at the Shroom HQ of all places. But then once you dig deeper, you end up going down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories that keep yakking about bad futures and alternate timelines. Probably better just stick to the credible sources for this one. But enough about catching up on the past. It's time to get back in the present. I think I finally got a good lead on when and where the next killing game will happen. In fact, it's almost time for me to meet with my contact. I better get going. I walked into the alley where I was supposed to meet the informant, only to find it completely empty. I kept alert, fully aware that I could be walking straight into a trap. To be honest, I don't exactly like having to deal with these back alley meetings, but when you're in my line of work, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. Suddenly, a Spike came dashing into the alley, running out of breath. It didn't take someone with my investigative ability to know that he forgot he was supposed to meet me here until the last minute and ran over here as fast as he could.
Hey, you're Shmaluigi, right?
The Spike asked, still trying to catch his breath. Yeah, Shmaluigi was told you have information about the next killing game.
Oh yeah, it's happening tonight, he told me.
Tonight, I blurted out, a bit louder than I intended. I was shocked. I certainly didn't expect it to be happening already, and I wasn't entirely sure if I was prepared. Nevertheless, I paid close attention to the directions he gave me as I wrote them down in my notebook. I thanked him for his help and quickly began heading there so I could arrive as early as possible. The way these things go, once they start, no one's getting in or out of that place. Following the Spike's directions led me to what seemed to be a warehouse of some sort, but something seemed very off. My initial observation was that it would be far too small to host an entire killing game, and as I got closer, I saw a line of people waiting to enter. This couldn't possibly be the killing game. This was all wrong. But if not, then what was it? Even if this wasn't what I was searching for, I at least had to take a closer look. I got in line and paid close attention to what was going on. The other people who were waiting were quite chatty, though I wasn't quite sure what they were talking about.
I hope we see Sombrero Guy tonight. Nah, it's gonna be the Flying Egg. You're both wrong, it's gonna be Mr. Eraser, no doubt about it.
My eyes wandered toward the front of the line where I noticed the people were handing tickets to a charging truck in a suit. Tickets. Questioning who would show up. That's when it hit me. This was Mushroom Kingdom Smackdown! Sure, it can get violent, but it certainly wasn't one of the killing games Miss Sky was hoping to investigate. That Spike obviously had no idea what he was talking about. I left the line, frustrated that my only lead had turned out to be a total red herring. I started wondering if maybe trying to investigate something I didn't even have any reason to believe would happen was a terrible idea. As I walked back to my office, lost in thought, I accidentally bumped into a strange Goomba in a shoe dressed like an artist. Before I could apologize, he started bellowing in a voice that seemed very loud for someone of his size. "You bumbling fool! You dare strike the great painter Michaelanshoego! You're lucky I am in a hurry, or your insolence would be fatal! Come, bros! We must make great haste to Mushroom Kingdom Smackdown!" he yelled, then hopped off, followed by the poor sap with him who was carrying way too much stuff. Yeesh, what's his problem? I returned to my office a bit dejected, but still unwilling to give up. I didn't have any leads, but I thought I knew someone who might, so I picked up my phone and called one of my contacts.
Detective Fulbright, Agent of Justice speaking.
Hello, Detective Fulbright. This is Shmaluigi.
Ah, Shmaluigi, my mysterious companion. To what do I owe this pleasure?
Well, here's the thing. Shmaluigi was hoping to investigate this thing called the Killing Games, but he doesn't exactly have any leads on it right now, and he doesn't even know if one is going to happen. Shmaluigi thought that if anyone might know anything about it, it would be you.
So-called killing games, eh? To be honest, ever since the Rogueport case, I've been busy trying to track down that rogue cereal magnate, which is made infinitely harder after all those copycats decided to flood the market with even shadier products. So I'm afraid I don't have very much useful information to aid you in your pursuit of justice. That being said, I can't shake the feeling I've heard of this before. The killing games.
Detective Fulbright paused and thought for a bit. It was Miss Sky, I reminded him. She said something about hoping to investigate them.
Ah yes, that Sky Girl from Rogueport. She mentioned something like that, didn't she? That's why you're looking into this, is it? I see you still have a soft spot for her even now, despite all that she did. Well, whatever happens, make sure you look out for yourself. I heard what happened to you during the FP3 case, and investigating shady business like this seems to me like your dangerous history is waiting to repeat itself. But if that's where your sense of justice is leading you, then I won't do anything to stop you. I'll let you know if I come across anything in the meantime.
Thank you, Detective Fulbright. Shmaluigi will certainly try to be more careful this time. Shmaluigi will let you get back to your work now.
Best of luck, my old friend. In justice we trust.
Indeed. Well, that was a bust. If Detective Fulbright didn't know anything about it, then there was a very good chance I was on a wild goose chase with a goose that didn't exist. That reminds me. I should catch up with Mr. Goose sometime. There was only one other thing I could think of doing now. It was my last resort, but at this point, I was desperate. I walked down the sidewalk before stopping outside of the headquarters of the New Weekiesburg Police Department. I always feel awkward coming back here, since they keep sending me paychecks even though I barely do anything for them anymore. Although in my defense, if they needed me, they could just, call me. But I digress. If Detective Fulbright didn't have any leads on this, the only other person I could think of who might would be Chief Palmer. I stepped inside and I soon encountered one of the last people I actually wanted to see here. Good old Shmoo-Toad.
Oh, look what the Cat Goomba finally dragged in. Hey, Shmaluigi, how's that whole killing game shindig going for you? The suspense is really killing me.
I rolled my eyes in response. This guy always got on my nerves more than anyone else I worked with here. I don't really care for most toads in general, but he's definitely near the top of my list. He's pretty weird looking too. I've never seen any other toad with a nose. Well, don't get too excited. Shmaluigi's just here to talk to the chief about something, I told him, brushing him off and continuing ahead to the chief's office. After I finished dealing with the chief's secretary, I came face to face with Chief Palmer himself. I have to say that as far as Piantas go, he's pretty imposing. I've worked for this guy for years, but somehow I still can't help but feel a little intimidated by him whenever we meet.
Ah, Shmaluigi, it's been a while. Haven't seen you since you ran off to that port town, he said.
Yeah, I replied, a little embarrassed.
So, do you have any updates for me on case LT5?
Not exactly, I told him, thinking about how the case file was still gathering dust on my desk. Shmaluigi came here for something more important.
Don't tell me you're handing in your resignation.
Oh, no, nothing like that. Do you happen to know anything about something called the Killing Games? His face turned grim at the mere mention of it.
Yes, I'm aware. That's how I got this position, actually. One of those happened here in the city at the Shroom HQ. My predecessor was in charge of the investigation afterwards. Retired not too long after that. I guess it was just too much for him. Why do you ask?
Oh, you haven't heard? Well, Shmaluigi was kind of hoping to investigate one end.
What?
The chief cut me off in shock, which caught me off guard. That wasn't very characteristic of him.
Shmaluigi, these things are brutal.
Yeah, Shmaluigi knows. He's done research on these things. It's a bit of a personal matter. To be honest, Shmaluigi doesn't even know if one is happening. He was kind of hoping you would have some helpful information. The chief hesitated for a bit, then sighed.
I shouldn't do this, but if anyone can sort one of these messes out, it's you. There's nothing that I know of that would point to another one of these things happening, but if you're looking for information, you might want to try this place downtown. Despair Pub. A bit seedy, but we've got some good informants there.
How did Shmaluigi not know about this, I asked him.
Well, that's what happens when you're out of the loop for 4 months,
he replied. True. Alright, thanks for your help, Chief. Shmaluigi will let you know how it goes. I visited the Despair Pub later that evening. The chief wasn't lying when he said this place was seedy, though oddly it was almost nostalgic for me because it reminded me of my time in Rogueport. I wasn't quite sure who to talk to, so I went straight to the hammer bro tending the bar. From my experience, bartenders always seem to know exactly what's going on in places like this.
Hello, sir. What can I get you?
Shmaluigi needs some information, if you know what he means.
Ah, I gotcha. That's gonna cost you, though.
I should have seen that coming, honestly. I pulled some coins out of my wallet and handed them to him.
Pleasure doing business with you. See that pokey over there in the corner? The one wearing the fedora and the trench coat that's got sleeves in it, even though he's not got no arms? That's Pokerface. The dude's kind of fishy, but he knows about basically everything. Makes me wonder what kind of connections he's got.
Thanks. I went over to Pokerface, wondering exactly why he wore a trench coat with sleeves despite having no arms. He looked up at me as I approached.
Can I help you?
He asked. Shmaluigi was told you have a lot of information. Do you by any chance know anything about a killing game? He gave me a knowing smile.
Oh yeah, I got the goods.
To be continued.